Tonight, the two young radio hosts break their silence on the prank call that's had such tragic consequences. We all know 46-year-old nurse Jacinta Saldana took her own life after the stunt received international coverage. How much the prank had to do with that tragedy is open to conjecture. What is certain is that Today FM's Michael Christian and Mel Greig are two young people under intense pressure and living with unbelievable regret. This afternoon they spoke to Claire Brady.
Mel and Michael, considering what we're about to discuss, I would feel professionally irresponsible if I didn't ask you first whether you feel emotionally stable to even do this interview. Do you feel you're okay?
Yeah.
You're okay. Mel? You're okay? When you heard the dreadful results following the days after the prank, describe to me how it impacted on you. Can you remember the words? Can you remember physically how you felt, Mel?
Unfortunately, I remember that moment very well because I haven't stopped thinking about it since it happened. And I remember my first question was she a mother?
When you found out that she was, of two children, how did...
I'm very sorry and saddened for the family, and I can't imagine what they'd be going through.
And what about you, Michael?
I'm gutted, shattered, heartbroken.
Does it even feel real to you what's happened?
I mean, we're still trying to get our heads around everything, trying to make sense of the situation.
It doesn't seem real because you just couldn't foresee something like that happening from a prank call. It was never meant to go that far. It was meant to be a silly little prank that so many people have done before. This wasn't meant to happen.
In hindsight, and anyone can say that now, in hindsight, would you do something like that again?
I don't think that anyone could have predicted,
that outcome.
What could have happened. It was just a tragic set of circumstances that I don't think anyone could have thought that we'd be here.
Who came up with the idea of the prank? Who came up with the idea?
It was just in a team meeting before the show.
So it wasn't one of either of you individually?
Everything's done as a team.
As a team.
Yeah.
Did you have advice, legal advice, or senior producers nursing you through this?
Well, I mean, the call to begin with wasn't about speaking to Kate. It wasn't about trying to get a scoop or anything. I mean, the call was just... I mean, we assumed that we'd be hung up on, and that'd be that.
When you weren't hung up on, and you could even hear that, let's be honest, you thought it was a coup at the time, Mel, and were you kind of shocked that you even got to that far to talk to the nurse beside Princess Kate?
Absolutely, and the accents were terrible. It was designed to be stupid. We were never meant to get that far. From the little corgis barking in the background, we obviously want it to be a joke.
And I suppose, the joke was always on us, not anyone else. It wasn't about trying to fool someone. I mean, we just assumed that with the voices that we put on, we were going to get told off, and that was the gag in us.
Here at the station, at our stereo, do you get any coaching, any training at all as to what you're allowed to put to air, what you've got to tell people they're being recorded and they're going to be put on air? Have you been taught that during your tenure here?
This phone call is the same with any phone call, with any pre-recorded segment that goes to air. There's processes in place and people that make those decisions. I mean, our role is just...
But have you been taught that? Have you been taught that sat down in a legal class?
There are people that make those decisions for us. Our responsibility is just to...
So did someone listen to the call, that recording, and say...
It went through the process as every other recorded bit that we do, from interviews to, to anything. It all gets recorded and passed on to the appropriate people, goes through the process, and we're told whether it's yes or no to play.
What was it, if you're going to give me a rough, and it probably feels all blurred to you, but a time span from when you did that call to putting it to air? Was it 2 hours, 3 hours?
I don't even know.
I can't... in between all of that, though, it wasn't as though we were sitting around waiting for an answer. You know, there was
We go about our work and just keep going.
getting other things organised.
But you were pretty giddy with what you'd pulled off, weren't you?
We couldn't believe that it had worked, absolutely. You didn't expect it to. We thought 100 people before us would have tried the same thing. We just did not see that actually working.
But it wasn't, you know, to get something that no one else had. It wasn't about getting...
But you are aware you were trying to get a medical condition and medical condition on royal.
But we didn't actually want that. We just wanted to be hung up on. We wanted to be hung up on with our silly voices and play a 20-second segment to air of us doing stupid voices.
You didn't think of identifying yourselves at the end of that call?
That's where the process comes in. We just record everything and pass it to the team. That's what we do.
You know, and again, the call itself is there's no malice in the call. There was no digging. There was no trying to upset or get a reaction. You know, and
do you feel now though that you're part of a witch hunt? That someone wants someone to pay here?
Look,
I mean, there's hackers here threatening to shut down the station and hack into the whole system if you guys aren't sacked. Does that make you feel vulnerable?
There is nothing that can make me feel worse than what I feel right now and for what I feel for the family. We are so sorry that this has happened to them.
How do you move on? Was someone caring for you guys? Are you having counselling too?
We're getting the support that we need, and you know we've got those around us that are helping us. But you know, right now,
I care more about the family. I want to know that they've got the support that they need and that the public are, you know, being respectful of their privacy.
Have you tried to contact the family in any way?
I don't think it's an appropriate time to do that yet, but this is where we want to say that we are thinking of you, and if we could call you, we would want to reach out to you. But
well, if you could turn the clock back.
If we played any involvement in her death, then we're very sorry for that, and time will only tell.
Have you been reading a lot, Mel?
I've been advised not to, but I'm doing it on the intention of finding out more about Jacinta.
Right. What lessons can other DJs and worldwide learn from your horrible experience?
Prank calls have, you know, they've been around for as long as radio's existed, and they're done by every radio.
But this result is just horrific.
No one could have predicted this result.
What are you guys going to do then? Are you going to pursue your DJ careers? I mean,
I don't even want to think about that right now. There's bigger pressing issues, and that's making sure that family gets through this tough time. You know, our careers aren't important at the moment.
That Scotland Yard is now involved, and you may be called to an inquest, and the inquest will probably be in London, and you'll see the family face to face. Are you prepared for that?
Right now, you know,
the weight of that?
Right now, we're trying to wrap our heads around what's happened.
If that's going to make them feel better, then I'll do what I need to do, absolutely. If that's something that they want to do to get some closure, then I will do that.
Mm-hmm.
You have had a lot of support. There's a poll out today of 1,100 people, 11,000 actually, and they've said that 2/3 of them that they feel you're not to blame for this horrible result. And then you've got the other side of horrible Twitter saying many lives ruined, shame on you, you've got blood on your hands. How do you balance that, the support and absolute hostility?
I think, you know, what's important right now is you know, that the family of Jacinta are getting the support and the love that they deserve, and I mean that's what's important here. You know, it's nothing more than a tragic turn of events that no one could have predicted, and you know, for the part that we played, we're obviously we're incredibly sorry, and you know,
I feel in you, Mel, that you're just all but frozen. Is that correct?
I'm just so devastated for them. I'm really feeling for them.
It's a shocking turn of events.
I just couldn't. If we had any idea that something like this could be even possible to happen, you know, we couldn't see this happening.
No,
it was meant to be a prank call.
Do you feel sick now that you were saying this is a highlight of my career and you were excited about getting the call through to get to this moment?
We couldn't foresee what was going to happen in the future.
When you did call them, though, and you're talking first to the Jacinta and then the second nurse, Did you think in the days after it, oh, those poor nurses, wonder how they're feeling? Did you think for them at all, or were you just in that giddy sense?
The call itself was not malicious, and no harm was intended on Jacinta or the other nurse or Kate or Prince William or anyone. It wasn't from start to finish. There was no harm intended, and obviously, you know, we're incredibly sorry for the harm that we may have helped contribute. And
You've been very brave talking, and I just hope people are caring for you guys too, because it's going to take, I feel, for two DJs who like to put a few smiles on faces, it'll be a while before we hear the two of you laugh.
Thank you.
Okay.
Start